Hello, welcome to our 10-minute video about incorporating extracurricular activities into your homeschool routine. My name is Ann. I'm the homeschool mom of 2 children. I began homeschooling back in 2007 when my oldest was ready for preschool, and they are now both in high school. So we have had many years of experience with some different extracurricular activities. I am sitting here at my piano because that was my extracurricular activity growing up. And it's really interesting that neither one of my children have picked up the same interest that my husband and I had. They have done completely different things. I think that's one of the things that is most fun and interesting about parenting, is just seeing where their interests go as they grow older and develop new skills. So what sorts of extracurricular activities are out there for you to participate in? One common one is sports. There are both team sports like basketball, baseball, swimming, soccer, volleyball. There are also individual sports like dance or gymnastics that you can participate in. There are different avenues of being able to do these things. Sometimes your city will have a youth league for different sports like baseball or soccer, where youth from all around the community can play. It's not limited to anyone from a particular school. Sometimes a private school will open up their activities to homeschool students. Sometimes a public school can open up their activities to homeschool students too. You need to research around in your area and see what is available as far as the sports teams go. Music lessons are another idea for an extracurricular activity. That could include voice lessons or working on learning how to play an instrument. Private lessons with an instructor can be found. There may be instances where a private school or a public school will open up part of their music program to homeschoolers too. And then there are clubs like 4-H and the NCFCA, which is a Christian speech and debate club. There are different types of scouting programs, and all of these would be open to homeschoolers and other children in your community. There are some opportunities that are unique to homeschoolers. Those would be things like a homeschool co-op that is run by homeschool parents, and it is for homeschoolers. There might be field trip groups in your area. Sometimes a larger city may have some sort of pass where you can buy it and get access and admission to all different museums, and it's good for the whole year. And then there are volunteering opportunities too. And homeschoolers can take advantage of these things at any time during the day that works in their schedule. You can volunteer at a food pantry. You can volunteer at an animal shelter. And then one that might be a little different, but this is one that we have done, is volunteering at a state historic site. So now that we've mentioned quite a few different ideas for activities to be able to do, let's talk about why these things are important. It can seem sometimes like you're just trying to find things to fill your day, find reasons not to be home, reasons to be just too busy. But that's really not what it's about. There really are some very important benefits to doing these extracurricular activities. So here are a few. I think the social impact for your children is very important. I think that in joining these groups and these teams can give your children long-lasting friendships with others. That's the case that we have found. And just the ability to interact with all the different people they meet is such a good thing. And I do believe that the social interaction for the parents is also a good thing. I have met many good friends throughout the different organizations I've been in. When you are cheering on the baseball team from the stands, you get to meet the other parents. When you're working in the concession stand in the basketball game, you really get to work with the other parents on that. So it really is a good opportunity for parents to be able to meet others and have a little bit of a social life too. Another benefit to many extracurricular activities is exercise if you are doing some sort of sport. And there are many other skills that children learn through these different activities that are a little different than the skills that you learn in just your more academic part of your school day. Things like learning perseverance, how to keep going when things become difficult. This can be the case when you are working on a difficult piece of music. It can be the case when you are learning a new skill in your sport. It can be the case when you are just having a really tough time playing a really good opponent. I think that teamwork and developing a servant's heart is something that you can see happen with extracurricular activities too. And also, a lot of responsibility can be learned from participating in these different things. There are probably responsibilities for any extracurricular activity you'll do, from practicing to be ready for your music lesson, to having your equipment ready for your sports event, to having your uniform clean when it needs to be able to play the sport. All sorts of things there are to be responsible for. And you also end up realizing what some of these consequences are when you're not able to fulfill the responsibilities. And those really are important lessons for all of us to learn. I think that learning sportsmanship is another good benefit of these activities. You get to learn how to deal properly with losing, and you get to learn to deal appropriately when winning too. Another thing that can be a benefit of extracurriculars is getting electives to put on your high school transcript. One of the things I was thinking about as my children got closer to high school was, it's time to make a transcript. I've got to be recording these grades. I've got to have all these different credits on their transcript. And when it came around to adding the electives, it really was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I looked and saw what we were already doing, and those equate to the electives that you need on your transcript. And another thing I didn't realize was that the extracurricular activity could end up leading your child to a possible job. My son played baseball with a local organization for years in elementary school, and now that he's in high school, he decided he wanted to be an umpire. So he went to a day of training, and last fall he worked as an umpire out at the fields where he used to play, and it really was a lot of fun. We would find some friends there, and they would ask us, well, who are you here to watch? And we got to say, the umpire. So he does plan to keep on doing that in college too. So you just never know where one of these activities will take you in the future. And the last benefit is the other thing I've got to show you today. You can see I've got my volleyball t-shirt on. I do think that some of these activities can help you simplify your wardrobe. You never have to wonder what you can wear because your closet is going to be full of basketball and volleyball or soccer t-shirts, and you've just got your wardrobe ready to go. So you can see there are so many benefits to doing these activities. So now you've really got to think of how these things can happen. How do you fit these activities into your schedule? I think a lot of that depends on how many children you have. If you do have a large family, it may be necessary to limit extra activities to one per child. You may need to find an activity where all the children can participate in one organization. I've seen that happen with the baseball league here in our town, where a family will just have all their kids doing it. I've seen that happen with music lessons. When a family is doing piano, they schedule their lessons where everybody gets to go all on the same day and just make it real convenient for you. So many activities are after school hours, but there are many that you can also find that you can incorporate into your school day too. So how do you determine what to do in your home? Well, you need to do your research. There are a few things that you need to make sure to consider. One would be the financial implications of whatever activities you're thinking about. You've got to think about cost of uniforms, cost of the lessons, all those sorts of things. You need a real good understanding of before you jump into an activity. It's always not a good thing to jump into something not realizing what it'll be, and then you end up having to back out or something like that. That's just not a good situation. So do your research ahead of time. And another thing is to think about the time commitment that would be involved with each activity. Some activities take more time than others. Some take more of your time than others. Music lessons, for instance, wouldn't take a whole lot of your time. Your children would be practicing and taking a lot of their time. Different sports teams may require you to be going to different places for games and things like that. So definitely consider the time involvement and what will work for your family. And last, think about what you would like your children to learn. And pick activities that will meet those goals for you. Do you want them to develop musical ability? Do you want them to get more exercise? Do you want them to learn compassion through volunteering? Do you want them just to have more social opportunities any way that they can? There are so many options out there and so many benefits to be gained from participating in some sort of extracurricular activity. But don't compare what you are doing to what you see any other families doing. And definitely don't think that you have to do it all and never spend any time at your home. There is definitely a balance to be found. While you may be busier in some seasons than others, memories will definitely be made that you will cherish for a very long time. As a mom with a senior in high school, that is definitely on my mind right now. And so that was my cat Benny, and he and I want to thank you for joining me, and I do pray that the activities that you find yourselves being part of will bring your family very much joy.